Beautiful day out. Temperatures climbing to 10 above 0 Fahrenheit. It's probably about the same minus centigrade. Might seem a little bit cold, but believe me, after a little colder blast we've had and the sun shining, it's really good. So we're headed out. We've got a lot more, maybe 7 or 8 or more of those tamarack logs that I cut and peeled last spring that we need to get hooked onto and drug out with using the electric winch to get them in position, and then haul them on into the cabin with the snow dog. But it's supposed to be a cloudy day tomorrow, and it's sunny today, so take advantage and go out and just crunch along here a little bit. We did have some deer came by the cabin right behind the woodshed, so they're out moving around, but they're really thick. As soon as we go on a trail, they're on the tracks behind us. But we're gonna head out. I put a game camera way out where the wolves were really using it heavy on our way in. I want to go out and make sure the memory card hasn't filled up and the batteries are still good. See if we can catch some good wolf activity out there. Here's where we hauled all the logs out of last year, or most of them come out of this spot. There was already a big opening out here, a big wet hole, but we just cut around the edge, and hard to believe we took almost 50 tamarack trees out of this area. Just opened it up a little bit more, got some good daylight into it, and now you can see that brush there, the dogwood coming up. The deer got it all nibbled off. If I decide to cut any more tamarack trees, and I probably will because we can haul next winter yet, I'm going to probably cut these they're going to die anyway, and they're right next to the trail, so it'll be easy to haul out. We won't have to be winching them out onto the hard packed trails. So we've got some nice sized trunks to them. They'll work really good for saw logs, and then even get a saw log out of the bottom, and then a nice wall log next section up. I keep making comments about how nice that snow dog has been for maintaining these trails, and this is one here that it's just an alternate route. It goes out to our main trail, but with the snow dog I was able to pack it down, and if it weren't for that I would have stayed off the trail all winter, because it's just too much trouble to open all these little side trails up. But now that we did it, it sure makes a fun walk to be able to make a loop rather than an out and back. See a little bit different country. I'm sure back in the day this was one that some of the last settlers out here, they had cars. They used this to go back and forth between what we call Jonas's cabin up there and ours. They were the last ones living out here for the 1950 census. Sometime a few years after that, everybody had completely moved out of the whole township. I like to wait until times like this in the deep winter, and then I can break off these cedar boughs that are growing out over the top of my trail. And I break them off, and the deer come along at night. They're gonna love having that food lowered down to their height. I don't think they really relish eating white cedar, but when they have to, they really chow down on it. How times have changed. 100 years ago, this was a active sawmill site. You can imagine crews back here working, hauling in timber, cutting it up, hauling it back out to civilization. A whole different time back here in this forest. Over the years, we've had place names for so many places out here in the forest and the trails, and sometimes it's kind of hard to describe them. Well, the other day Jim started calling this I went out to the lawnmower bench. Well, I think that name's going to stick because everybody's going to know that this is the lawnmower bench from now on. And some may ask, what's a lawnmower doing clear out there? Well, we're a mile west of the cabin, and if I stage these lawnmowers and cover them up, through the winter, I have them staged out here every mile or so. Makes it real easy to come out, throw some gas in, fire it up, and mow that section of trail. Sometimes there's some beaver ponds and stuff between the sections, and so it works for me. It's easy to identify the brush types out here today. The beaked hazelnut was dense enough when the wet snow got on it, it took it to the ground, and the maple brush standing up nice and tall. But as I look at it, it's getting pretty tall and woody. I think it's time to come out here in a dormant time when there's not too much snow on the ground and chop it off of the ground again and let it grow back as a good browse for the deer. Yeah, I know. No hat, but hey, I got gloves on. I always like coming through this part of the trail. There's these really big old-time white pine. It's on a high piece of ground on a ridge all along the swamp here. And for whatever reason, they never got cut. They look like nice straight trees. So maybe the homesteader that had them just kind of kept them aside, figuring someday he had money in the bank if he ever needed a little cash. But now that it's back to federal lands, they're safe. You got nothing against cutting little timber, but when you get babies like this, it's a shame. And that's why Minnesota rarely ever cuts any of these big white pine. Hey Alex, I think the roof is leaking on the old Hudson homestead. Get a little extra time, you might want to get up here with some supplies and get that hole patched. For the last 20 years, this mile section right through here, we're just about halfway out to the vehicle and the road, but we've been using this again for the last maybe even 20 years. I found a way to wind a trail through the trees here on the high ground, and the advantage is that the trees tend to hold up a lot of the snow, so it's never very deep. It's not near as deep anyway under these trees as it is out in the open. And I mention that because out here now, this is our halfway point little rest area. In our first years coming to the cabin when the snow was deep and we had to come in from the west, our only option was to bring these lowlands for about 1.5 miles. This will end up, drainage will end up coming into Hawks Pond eventually. But as compared to here under the trees where the snow kind of gets held up and it's not as deep, out in those grassy places it's held up even higher, and you end up with snow probably 3 times as deep as it is over here in these woods. But then we were a lot younger back then. This widowmaker looks solid, but I'll have to make sure I get it taken care of when I come by next summer. It must have come down since I was here, because there's no way I would have left that when I cleared the trail the last time. can see how we are just traveling parallel to that big long marsh out there that we used to use as our access to the cabin from the west. If we'd only known what an easy way it would be if we cut the trail over here. You can see why I chose to go for a nice hike today rather than mess around hauling timber. It's supposed to be cloudy tomorrow. Be a good day to do that. Coming up now on that big opening where the wolves had been spending so much time romping around. And a few days later I brought a trail cam out here and set it up on a tripod. The reason I walked out here today was I want to check that camera. I just stopped back there in the trail though and got rid of some of that excess coffee I've been drinking all morning. I got thinking about it, that might not have been a real bright idea. I've gotten in kind of some hot water with some of these wolves before when I get marking their trails. I remember when we came by, this was all wolves playing. There were no deer tracks down in those holes. It was just the wolves having a time. I can see the tripod about 100 yards ahead. There's only one, maybe two fresh deer tracks here since yesterday's little skiff of snow. We'll see if it caught anything before that. Nope, nothing going on at all. Well, here comes some real wildlife down the trail. Jim and I had a plan to come out here, and as I left the cabin though, he was kind of sitting back and said, well, I might be coming along in about 20 minutes. Well, first he's going to go out with me, and then we had another plan. He said 20 minutes, and with the way that was progressing, I was going to bet that he had a changed plan all the way and either sat there and enjoyed another cup of coffee or went hiking in a different direction. But lo and behold, here he is. I'd about given up on you.
How the camera look?
Hey Jim, I'm thinking about taking a little different way back. You game?
Yeah, as long as it's not a lot of work. No, I'm just kidding you. Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, folks, you heard him. And I think we should be okay. It's just that we don't have a snow dog track to go on, but there's been so many whitetails through here that I'm hoping that this works. We're going to head down that way, get back in the trees, and then we're going to end up on what in the old days was the winter ice road down through the cedars. Yeah, the snow's a lot deeper out in the open when we get back in here. It's really packed down pretty hard. I think we'll be okay. I'm going pretty, not really nice here, but there's a few wolves through here, but I think if we turn this corner, the deer should be using the old ice road. Maybe we'll cheat a little bit here and take this deer trail for a bit. Okay, now we are on on the old ice road. And as I suspected, the deer are going to have a hard packed path all the way until it intersects the trail that we came in on, about a half a mile along from here. So I don't think there'll be any more knee-deep drifts to be stomping through, and when you get off the beaten path, you never know what you'll find. Obviously, I didn't get down through here last summer with a chainsaw. That's why at Christmas time I didn't try bringing the snow dog down through to pack it in, because I had no idea what surprises might be laying in the snow. Over 100 years ago, this is the lane they used to haul the wood out with the horses. They had water stops where they dug holes and they'd get water and had a water wagon, and they'd lay water down so it would freeze up, and it would truly be an ice road. And it was always down through these lowland theaters where it was western anyway. You can just imagine the big wagons of logs that the horses would be hauling along here. That was a bit of a mess back there, but now this gives you a little better idea of what a nice lane they had through here. If you think that really, except for me nibbling a little bit of brush off, this road is pretty well stood here for 100 years. The trees aren't that big because we're down into some poorer, wetter soils.
It's a nice little trail back here, Mark.
I see you're still smiling.
Open up a little bit.
I love it in here. I just never get a chance to use it that much in the winter. But like you say, just a little bit of work,
Nice.
be real nice shape. Yeah, I think as you look ahead here, it's a lot better shape.
Yeah.
And maybe we're good, but you know, it just, these things fall over and they make messes. But
Yeah, that's if it wasn't for the deer in here and the wolves, this would be hard to walk in here. At least we have somewhat of a trail.
I only came because I knew our friends came first.
That is for sure, and I enjoy doing it.
Overall, it's been a very pleasant little trail through here. Got a few things like this that need a little maintenance, but we'll follow the deer path around and get back on the main track shortly. One of those pesky deer decided not to go back to the main trail, but I want to stay in the hard packed path, so I'm going where the deer lead me. Deer don't like to meander around. They're going pretty much in a straight line all the time, so I think we'll end up in about the same place. Maybe they'll end up back in the main trail again when it's convenient for them. We're still wandering with the deer, but again, they like to go in a straight line, and we have the sun shining, and so as long as I keep it off my right shoulder, I know that I'm pretty much heading back toward the cabin and some of our familiar trails. Beautiful cedar forest back in here. Hark, I see a civilized trail ahead. I wonder where we ended up. Oh yeah, all makes sense now. I think the trail that we were on, the old ice road, intersects here about 100 yards ahead. So we took the deer trail, which was the smarter thing. It was nice and open all the way, so we made it. That was a nice hike.
I'm thankful for the game trail.
Yeah. Little deer wandered off the ice road, and I elected to stay with the deer, and it worked out.
Yep.
But they never did go back to that ice road. So we saw some country we didn't plan on.
You know, it seems like every turn you make, it's different country. I mean, it's pretty out here. I'm gonna head back to the pond.
All right.
Have you been back up in here?
Yeah.
With the snow dog?
Yeah. I made that short loop around the back.
Because it doesn't look like a snow dog's been down it, maybe because of the snow.
The snow, yeah. Once you get in there more, you'd see.
Yeah, because I think I came down that way.
Yeah, you walked up.
Yeah. No, that's the that back trail.
Exactly. The main road, the old days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That was a rough road, too. A lot of water on it during the summer or spring.
All right. Brought time.
Okay, well, you go have fun. I mean, you're there a little bit.
Where you headed?
Over to the pond. I gotta put my snowshoes on. It's deep. We haven't been back there yet.
Quiz time. So who can tell me what happened with these trees? Was the snow really that deep? Been a real nice hike, but I know inside that cozy little cabin there's some coffee left from the morning. I got some brats that are ready to stick in front of that stove and roast up to a nice browned, crispy outside, hot in the inside. Jim should be coming along shortly.